Hey there, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is my response to the Elizabeth Craft Designs Designers Coloring Challenge that for this month is Cute Critters. So I made a colorful monkey swinging through a bunch of very technicolor branches. So on the left I have a 4" by 5 1/4" piece of 85-pound white soft finish cardstock, and I stamped the leaf stamp kind of randomly off the panel all around it. And on the right hand side I have sort of a piece of scrap 85-pound white cardstock where I stamped 3 extra leaves and a monkey. And they've all been stamped in archival jet black ink because I'm going to color with Inktense Pencils and water, so I needed a waterproof ink. And now I'm stamping the Wishing You a Colorful Day sentiment from the General Sentiment Stamp Set. And one thing to note about this is the sentiment needs to be at least 4 1/4 inches wide once you trim it down. So make sure when you stamp it that your scrap piece is at least 4 1/4 inches wide. So to color, I'm using Inktense Pencils, some water, and my water brush, and not putting water in my water brush, just using the water in the cup. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that's what I always do. I'm not sure why, but that's how I use it. So if you've watched any of my other Inktense pencil videos, I always say, like, start off with less. These are very saturated. Don't color too heavily because once you add the water, the color really goes nuts. And if you add too much initially, it's going to be crazy. You can't take it away, but you can always add because you can add layers on top of it. Well, this may be the one time where that advice didn't do me so well. I really wanted some like seriously colorful leaves and the monkey. And so going super light initially made it a little more time consuming. I had to go back over, I added another layer of the green there. But this is like probably the only example where I think going heavy on the coloring initially would be okay, especially since I'm not doing any shading. It's just the flat same one color on the leaves. So there's a tiny bit of shading that I do on the monkey, but otherwise it's just one color and water on all the leaves. So really easy, and I wanted them super bright. So this is the one time when I would say going a little heavier on the initial coloring is okay. And I do that here with the blue, which is sea blue. You can see that it comes out pretty well the first time once I add the water. The pink is fuchsia, and the green was apple green. And I think I added a tiny bit of spring green to that one leaf. Now here with the monkey, I'm coloring him. His body was saddle brown. And again, I'm going very light on this. So I do wind up going back a couple times to get him as like dark and saturated as I wanted him. And then I'm using hot red for the red stripes on his t-shirt. And again, comes out very much lighter than I would have liked when I add the water. So I do go back a second time and add some more hot red to really get it to the color I wanted it. So I probably could have colored a little bit heavier on this guy initially, but better to start off with less and then add more, as I have said in the past. And his little shorts I do in violet, and he has these really cute little dots that are drawn on the shorts, and so I try to keep those white initially, like not color them in. And here I'm going in with more saddle brown. And so I try to go around those dots initially to keep them from having to color them in again. But they're so small, it got really tough with the Inktense pencils in the water to do that. So I did wind up going over the whole thing with the violet. And then I went back with a white gel pen and added those little dots back in. And you'll see those in the final pictures. And here I'm using the sun yellow for his yellow stripes on his t-shirt, and that one I actually got right the first time. And now I'm taking fuchsia and I'm trying to put a little bit in his ears and a little bit on his mouth, and then I want to use it to put a little pink, I don't know what we call it, like a mask around his eyes and just behind his muzzle, just to kind of differentiate that part of his face from the rest of his face. And so I take really light saddle brown, or no, oak, and color his face, and then I take the fuchsia and I try to make that little mask effect. And it's a little difficult just because I don't want it to go too crazy pink right off. So I do wind up doing that several times to get it exactly the way I wanted it. And there you can see I just kind of go over the whole shorts there with the violet. And now I'm adding in a little bit of shading to the monkey with the oak pencil. And I'm just kind of, it's not fancy, it's just a little bit around the edges of his head and on his like arms and legs, sort of where it would be darker, like behind his head or under his tail or that kind of thing. And here's my second coat of hot red on the t-shirt to get it finally as bright as I wanted it. And then I think I go back again with the fuchsia on his face. Yeah, just a little bit. And I'm going from you see I'm putting my wet brush to the pencil, and that's a good way to get just a small amount, but I am wiping it off on the paper first so I don't go too nuts on the color right off. Now here's where I'm coloring all the leaves on the other panel, and I color them all first with the pencil, the correct pencil color, and I'm going a lot heavier on the initial coloring, as you can see, because you can even see the color like looking at it right now before I add the water. And then once I add the water, they're all good. So here's where I went heavier on the initial coloring, and I got the intensity that I wanted right off the bat. So for some of it, it's okay. And then here's probably the trickiest part of the entire coloring process, which is coloring in the word colorful on the wishing you a colorful day sentiment. And I did a different color for each letter in rainbow order. So I went hot red, tangerine, sun yellow, apple green, sea blue, violet, fuchsia, and then hot red again. And it's a really skinny letter, so a little tough with that water brush, but not too bad. Now I cut an A2 size top folding card base out of the rich black soft finish cardstock, and I matted my greeting in a piece of rich black that was cut to 7/8 by 4 1/4, and I had trimmed down that greeting to 5/8 by 4 1/4. And then I die cut out 3 leaves and the monkey and 3 pieces of fun foam with the leaves and 1 monkey in the fun foam using the matching dies. And I had put clear double-sided adhesive sheets on the back of these items, these like leaves and the monkey, before I cut them out. So that turned them into a sticker and made them really, really easy to adhere down to the fun foam. And the fun foam, I think just because it's sort of that like puffy, airy material and, more dimensional than paper, it's a little, like, to me, it's always a little bit bigger than the die cut piece. So, and I never wind up with it like perfectly lined up. So I always have to take my scissors at the end and like trim it off like I'm doing right here. So I just kind of go around and like trim off any pieces that are really, really obviously sticking out from behind the die cut. And it's really easy to do, especially with its small scissors. It's just kind of a matter of just trimming it down very carefully, and it's no big deal. Now to adhere everything down, I put 10mm clear double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the panel and the greeting. And then I used the 3mm double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the die cuts. And that is so cool because it's just like 1/8 of an inch thick, so it's really skinny. And it was just exactly the right width for the skinny little legs and stuff on the monkey. So perfect for that. And so I adhere the panel down with a border around it on the black, and then the greeting goes all the way across the panel, across the bottom, and then the blue leaf goes right over the blue leaf that's stamped but on top of the greeting. The red leaf goes in between the pink leaf goes in between the yellow and the red on the bottom. The monkey goes in the middle, and the green goes right over the branch towards of the monkey that he's swinging on. And then you have to trim off a little bit of the fun foam off the back of the leaves on like 2 of them, just so that you don't have double fun foam layered on there, but it's not tough to do at all. And then you just trim off the pieces of the die cut that are hanging out over the edge of the card. And that really is what completes the project. Not tough at all. And, pretty easy. And especially with the Inktense pencils, like fairly easy coloring and really fun, super bright, colorful result. So I hope you like the project. I think it's really, really fun. And that stamp set is so cute. Like there's a lion in it and an elephant. And it's great. It's awesome. I also wanted to mention that The dies that match the stamps are the easiest to line up I have ever experienced with stamps. Even better than the Lawn Fawn ones, if you can believe it. So I highly endorse the matching dies with the stamps. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. You can find a supply list link below in the video description or on my blog. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, it is time you subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a great day.